Appreciate everybody being here. Talk a little bit about last Saturday and then shift our focus to this week's game. Good to be back in Kinnick, certainly. And, Saturday's game, certainly disappointing outcome. We knew going in it was going to be a big challenge, and, Ohio State's got an excellent football team. So, like always, I think most of you are familiar, we have a 24-hour rule. Not that that's anything new or creative, but basically what it means is we come in and look at the film on Sunday, see what we can learn as a staff, start there, and then also, share those films with the players and talk about improvements, things like that, and then also look at the good stuff. So, and then, after that, it's all about moving forward, putting our emotions aside, which it's always tough when you lose a game, but, having to move forward on Monday and getting ready for this opponent. So, certainly as a team loss, said that on Saturday. Everybody, has involvement and ownership anytime things don't go your way. And, bottom line is typically you can always do better, and that's win or loss, really. So that doesn't change a whole heck of a lot either. Ohio State played a really good football game. They've got outstanding talent. As I said a week ago, well coached, and certainly showed that. And, at halftime, we're sitting at a, strikeable place, and then they drove the ball and scored, and then 3 turnovers after that. And you're not going to be anybody with 3 turnovers, particularly in one half. So that's a given. That's really not going to change. So that's the bottom line there. Saw some good plays out there. I thought our effort was good. Our guys competed hard, and now we got to push forward and try to build off the good things that we did see. So turn our sights forward here. Our captains, basically the same 4 guys. We got Jay Higgins, we got Luke Lachey, Cade McNamara, and Quinn Schulte will be our guys. Roster-wise, made an announcement yesterday. We had 2 players decide they're going to move forward and explore the portal in the out-of-season. So certainly thank them for their contributions. Wish them the best moving forward. And injury-wise, Addison, I think, is probably going to be out this week. I think it's realistic to think he'll make it back. So, a lot of guys with injuries, coming out of that game, physical game, both sides. And but I think, based on what I saw today, I think we got a chance to have everybody ready Saturday. So hopefully, outside of Strangle, we'll be good to go. Washington's a good football team, 4-2 coming into this game, 2-1 in the Big Ten, and obviously coming off a real big win against Michigan Saturday. They looked extremely strong and impressive. So Coach Fish has done a really nice job there, and most of you guys know Washington was in the national championship game, whatever it would be, 10 months ago, pretty recently. And certainly a lot of things have changed since then. They've got a new staff up there. Jed did a great job at Arizona, really turning that program around and giving them life. And now he's doing a great job up there. He's got a really good staff. And it's interesting player-wise that, the team that played back in January, a lot of those guys have gone to the NFL. Some of them have gone on to other schools, and a lot of guys are back as well. So the nucleus of the roster is impressive, and then they've done a good job bringing guys in to supplement their team. So they're a really good team. Got new players, and very, very well endowed that way. Offensively, a couple really good receivers. Quarterback has done a really good job, and was a good college player his previous school. He's really doing a nice job, but they're not just a throwing team. The running back from Arizona joined them. He's an excellent player too. So they're balanced offensively, do a really good job. So they're playing really good defense and making it tough that way. And then special teams, they've been really sound. So overall, just a big physical team. They've been playing well and certainly played well this past week. So big challenge on our hands there. Kid captain this week, we got a 7-year-old from Panora named Jackson Castile. And Jackson, basically has had some issues since birth. Just been fighting various things over at the children's hospitals and, doing a really good job. He's got one condition. It's really rare. I was told that he's one of 150 people in the world that's afflicted by this, but he's doing really well. 7-year-old, like I said, and plays T-ball, enjoys that, and his mom says he smiles a lot. So it'd be great to have him with us this Saturday. And last couple things here. First of all, I want to congratulate Brandon for the A&F Hall of Honor. It's really, really a great award, and Brandon had a great career here. I still remember trying to recruit him. We got on him late, and was not sure we were going to get him, actually. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of Iowa, And we were so smart, we didn't recruit him till the very, very end. And luckily, he chose to come here. And what a career he had, just a tremendous career with us, and went on and did a great job in the NFL, too. So great to have him back and his family back. And I know his mom and dad will be excited to be here as well on Saturday. So really good there. And I think it's also of note that, he's joining a couple former tight ends on that wall, Dallas Clark and Tony Moyaki, and then also one of his former teammates, Brian Balaga, went on last year. So it is a wall of honor. There's no question. All the guys up there are just outstanding. So congratulations, Brandon, on that. And just real quickly, just on a sad note, we've lost a couple former players here over the last couple of weeks. Mark Fetter had a really good career here back in the 70s, and then most recently, Kerry Burt passed a week ago, last Thursday, I think it was, from a heart attack. And Kerry was a captain on the 87 ball club, and just a tremendous, both of them tremendous people. So just a sad note there, and our thoughts are certainly with their families. So I'll throw it out for questions.
Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters. Kirk, just talking about Jedd Fisch a little bit. Obviously, you mentioned he took Arizona and really built them up the 3 years that he was there, and he's bounced around a lot. Seems like he's had success wherever he's been. But how difficult is that to go to a new place, to start over and build something up from scratch? And on a side note, he said you're his wife's favorite head coach, and he told you that? Is that true?
Well, I'm glad some wife likes me. I'm trying to score some points with mine. I'm not doing so well there. So. Jed's done a great job, just absolutely great. And Arizona was no garden spot when he went there. It was just, it was tough. It was a tough challenge for him, and it is difficult. It's always been difficult, and but I think it's just a tribute to the way he and his staff went to work. He's got a really good football mind, but more importantly, he's a guy of action who I'm sure, just watch what we see the Washington team do. These guys play hard. They're really sound, do a great job in all three phases, and my guess is that's exactly what he did in Arizona, but real credit to him. And they recruited well, too, and dug up some guys maybe that weren't, household names, but really played well. And the quarterback is still down there really tearing it up. I know he had a great year last year.
Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. The two guys playing the most snaps for you, wide receiver, just got here in June this summer.
Yep.
It didn't work for Caleb Brown. How difficult is it, or what does it take to get on the field at Iowa wide receiver, and why didn't it work for Caleb?
Well, I don't want to talk about players that aren't here, but I can talk about Jacob Gill, a guy who did get here in June, like you said, and he's come in and worked hard. He just works hard, and he was not a household name at his last school. He's tremendously attentive, very detailed in his work, his preparation, and he practices every day and practices hard. So I mean, there's a lot of value in that, and that's true at every position. Just being reliable, dependable, so the quarterback can really count on you to be there. And I'd flash back to a couple weeks ago, that Minnesota game, the one touchdown to the left that Caleb broke out. Gill's in there blocking, knocks over two guys. So the little dirty stuff like that, the dirty work that maybe some players don't want to do, he's willing to do it. He's done a really nice job. And then, Reese is a different discussion because he's a kid who just got out of high school basically, 4 months ago. And unfortunately for him, he had some injury issues in the summer. So, he's limited on what he could do. But once we got going in camp, same thing. He's just very attentive, very detailed, works hard. You've seen him compete for the ball out there. And I think he's got tremendous upside, but he's got a great attitude. And I'm not saying somebody else didn't. I'm just talking about those two individuals that are really focused on the details. And, if you're a receiver, and Brendan can tell you as a tight end, too, quarterbacks like to know what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, those types of things. And both these guys, the guys that are playing most of the reps right now have been really good in that regard.
John Steffi, Cedar Rapids Gazette, kind of along those lines, the two departures, kind of how did those situations unfold, and what are your thoughts in general on guys transferring at this point in the year when you still have most of the season still left to play?
I think that's just a reflection on the times. It's certainly not unique to us right now. And, it's kind of like Jim Ryan when he broke the barrier on the mile. All of a sudden, within a year, there were a bunch of guys that broke that barrier. So, once one person jumps in the water, then it's easier for somebody else to do it maybe. And I'm not saying that's the case here. I don't know how long the players have been thinking about it. It really wasn't part of the discussion. But, I applaud both guys because, what you don't want is somebody in the program that really doesn't have both feet in the circle and totally committed to the team doing well because, to win at this level, it takes everybody. It takes everybody on the team. So I applaud them, wish them the best, and appreciate what they have done. And LaShawn's case, his a little different because he really hasn't been healthy since April. And I know he's very frustrated about that. And then he's seen some other guys do a good job. So he wants to get healthy and then just, use his COVID year. And I wish him the best. We'll do all we can to help him. So, yeah, every circumstance is a little bit different. But I think we're going to see more and more of that as we move forward, probably in all sports.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. I asked this out of genuine understanding. I don't want it to sound condescending at all, but you've made changes, at Iowa State, Cohen in for Xavier. Deshaun is now starting over TJ. What is it about like the quarterback position that maybe just makes you a little bit more reluctant to at least experiment, even going back to last season?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's pretty much the same. I mean, every position that we have out there in the football field, we assess it daily and then weekly, and then you learn more as the season goes on and the game goes on. But ultimately, it's about putting players on the field in situations where you think it gives you your best chance to win at that given point. So when those times come where you're going to make a change or sub somebody out, you do it. And again, we discuss that pretty much on a daily basis. I guess the only day we don't meet as a staff would be Saturdays. We do it on Friday afternoons, the night game, then we do it Saturday morning. But we're talking constantly about the update of our team, where we at, what do we need to be thinking about. So we just take it a day at a time, try to give ourselves the best chance to be successful.
Hey, Kirk, Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. With the two in-season decisions to move on, I know you've been around the game for a long time, right? College level, and you've seen a lot of changes too. Is this frustrating? Is it? I guess I'm curious as to your thoughts on the situation generally.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I'd start with, and I think I used this line before a while ago, you can't lose what you didn't have. So, if somebody really hasn't been out playing, it's not like you're losing a lot of contribution, if that makes any sense. And I don't know what the stats are on either player we're talking about this season. If LaShawn had left last November, that would have been impactful because he was right in the thick of it, and he was our best option at that point, and was playing very well too. I just want to compliment him. But it's really not the case now, and I just talked about the injuries. That's affected him greatly, really, since April. And I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad anytime a player can't do what they want to do that way. But the bottom line is this, not to be callous, but if a player's really not playing, it's not like you lose anything that way. And then the other part, fall back on the line from Mike Tomlin about you don't want hostages on your team. Again, it doesn't do anybody good, especially the individuals, to be in an environment where they're not enthused to be there. It's just not good for anybody. So, just wish the guys well, and I hope they find happiness wherever they do go. I don't really mean that. And then, because I want all of our guys to be successful. And, right now our focus is on the guys we're coaching every day and, trying to give them their best chance to be successful moving forward here.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, we know that Cade's gone through a lot of injuries and adversity throughout his career, but, just from a production standpoint, the last touchdown he's thrown against a power conference team was against Iowa back in 2021. I guess, what do you see with him throughout the week?
He was hurt for 2 of those years, I think, so that's probably part of the void. But
no,
anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But what do you see?
The things that were obvious that didn't go well Saturday, my sister probably could tell you, turning the ball over, and then certainly the pick. And that was just a bad mental play on his part. That was the most disappointing play in my mind. He'd love to have it back too, but sometimes you don't get that choice. You have to factor in the level of competition. You have to factor in, I think, the way the game is going at that given point. There's a lot of things that influence, I think, how you assess things. But he's done a lot of good things too, and I would venture to say he played a pretty good half in the first half. He was really efficient and made that comment, I think, after the Minnesota game, that I thought he seemed more comfortable, more decisive in his play. Keep in mind, too, we've got a new offense, so there's a lot of new things going on. There's a multitude of things that we're all looking at. And the most important thing, I don't think his confidence has been shaken. And that's, you worry about that coming out of a game like that Saturday, where you play a really good opponent and things start going south on you.
With the turnovers, you mentioned the interception. With the 2 fumbles, kind of what did you see there? Kind of what went wrong there?
Yeah, the one was, the pocket got really cloudy and crowded. They get penetration on the right side, inside guy. But all that being said, that's part of playing quarterback. when things do get a little sticky in there, you got to really protect the ball. It's sometimes easier said than done, but that's something you just have to do, and he knows that. And then the last one looked to me like the ball just came out when I was watching the replay up on the board, and arm was coming forward, but it looked like his grip on the ball. So it's going to happen too. But again, I'll go back to what I just said a minute ago. When you get in those circumstances and it's coming downhill on you, sometimes things go that way, and it's no fun. As a former line coach, I've been through that a few times, and it's just a bad feeling, and you got to move on.
To go again, two-parter about the secondary. Washington comes in averaging 300 yards a game passing, so they lost a ton, but obviously they're still throwing it a lot. Your thoughts on that, and also related, because I don't know if I'll get the mic back, but Jalen Watson made the trip, got in the game, true freshman, I don't think he traveled to Minnesota, correct? What have you seen from him to elevate him to that level?
He's showing up in practice, and it was more so in special teams, but he got in there a little bit, and excuse me, he had a leg injury earlier in camp. It's probably impeded his progress, but he's a hard-working guy. He's got a good spirit to him, and he's really kind of, I think, first surfaced in the special teams drills, which is, as you know, defensively especially, we see a lot of traits in those things where, it might be worth really working with this guy and trying to develop him. And, we'll see how it goes. His role may increase as we go. We'll see. Perhaps on special teams, we'll take it week by week. But, he's done a lot of good things. He's got a good future here based on what we've seen so far. Yeah, okay, their pass game. It's similar to last week, quite frankly. They've got a good receiver core. And they too, and I think one of Ohio State's secrets, not that I coach there, but, as you guys saw, they make you play the run. Like they ran the ball extremely well. They've got good players, and they're not one-dimensional. And I'd say the same thing about Washington, that the back is a really good player, and they got a couple guys behind him that are good, but he's a really good player. And, it's how you call the plays, and they're going to, you can't just sit back and play defense, pass defense. You got to honor the run of this team. Guys up front do a good job, and the quarterback's really dangerous throwing the football. So they're truly balanced. Yep.
Hi, Kirk. Jack Lito with KCRG. And speaking to the players earlier today, they said, I'm not quoting here, they said essentially, we haven't quite played a four-quarter game in all three phases. You mentioned earlier, first half was pretty solid against Ohio State, kind of lost some things in the second half.
Yep.
Is the lack of all four quarters, is that starting to concern you, or is that something that is just going to happen throughout the season?
Yeah, no, it's a race we'll run the whole season, and there's ebb and flow in everything you do. But when we do play complementary football, and when we do that, we've been pretty good, and we did that in the second half, time before Ohio State. But to get the consistency, and sometimes it's your opponent, sometimes it's you, whatever it may be, but that's what you're striving for. And, so that's really what we're trying to get, and that's the objective. And, we're hitting the midway point. This is game 6 for us, so, you hope you're showing improvement. And that's one thing I think it's really fundamental for everybody to understand. I say everybody on our team and everybody involved. It's all about improvement and growth, and if you're doing things right, you should be improving and growing as you go along. Obviously, injuries can factor into that, but that's got to be the goal. And regardless of what the wins and losses are showing, so that's really kind of where we're trying to keep emphasizing that, and our best teams have done that.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. You're a baseball guy, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I love baseball, but I've seen less baseball this year than ever.
Yeah.
True confession. Yeah.
I was just asking because a player manager based like that type of role. Is it too much to say that is Jay Higgins almost like a player manager? Is that a reasonable take? Do you feel like, or what are your kind of thoughts?
I still read newspapers. There's a good article Saturday morning because we had time to kill, late kickoff about the Detroit manager and just their revival, which, I knew they were bad. I didn't know they were in the playoffs. But anyway, yeah, Jay's been great. I mean, he's been great. And I think that's twofold. It's Jay, who he is and how he is. He's, just really into it, studies all the details, and just, really good that way. And part of it's that position too, a linebacker, a middle linebacker, and a quarterback. You like to think those guys are really investing a lot of time and seeing things a little bit bigger than just, they're given jobs. And Jay certainly embodies that. Jack Campbell was the same way. I think that's something about our signal callers. Traditionally they've done that. And quarterbacks, since going back to the early 80s, I mean, they're usually spending more time on the film than probably in any other position. Those two positions are really kind of, and Jay's been just outstanding. And he's just, gives of himself all the time.
Hey, Coach, Matt McGowan with the Daily Iowan. Looking at defensive line, obviously Deontay Craig has been here a while. He's a senior. Talking with his teammates, they say he's always got a smile on his face. What does he mean to this team? And what does he mean to this team?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. It started in recruiting, kind of like Jay at the same time, both from Indiana, and his high school coach was just, really complimentary of him. Then you meet Jay, Deontay, and you certainly understand. He's just been fantastic, and his growth and development's been fun to watch. He was kind of like a tweener guy in recruiting, a little bit linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end. Worked extremely hard, and every time you see him, his demeanor is really positive. He's an upbeat guy, and I think that it's good for his teammates too, because he shares that with them.
Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters coach. I know you've had to wrap your head around a lot recently with the current age of college football, but you got a team from the Pacific Northwest playing your Big Ten home opener here. Is it? I guess how do you wrap your brain around that? It just seems kind of strange, I guess.
Yeah, I think we all kind of realized when this we went to 16, then it became 18. But yeah, 16 was first. That was like July 3rd, something like that, and. The world changed at that point because, at some point we're going to go out there too, and it just, what a different world. And then you had two more teams up in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah, it's very different. And it's going to be interesting, in a lot of different ways. Our travel out there, their travel here, what that is, and what's the long-term effect over the course of a season, all those kinds of things. So, yeah, it's just something we never had to deal with. But there's so many things in college football right now that fit in that category. So it's one more thing to just try to, give thought to, and really until you experience it, probably you won't know the answers, and maybe experience it a couple times. Last question for Coach
Chad Leistico again.
You got it back.
Yeah, I got it back.
Good behavior. That's good. You're still on trial right now.
Right.
Careful.
Pretty, it's a pretty significant loss of Stranga. I mean, you guys lean so much into 12 personnel. How do you overcome that? Do you keep going with 12 with Hayden and or Zach, or do you go more 11? What is your vision on this week?
Yeah, Zach will be the next guy up, and then Hayden's done an unbelievably great job. Talk about Deontay and Hayden. I'd say the same thing about him. Just a really positive guy, and boy, I'm so glad he's here. I'm still not sure how he ended up here, but I'm really glad he is here. Because he's really been a big contributor for us, and Johnny Pascuzzi's played a lot of football for us. Same situation a year ago, and he really improved in the spring. He had a really good spring. He's been growing all the way through it, and doesn't say much. Always looks like he hasn't shaved in 3 days. I'm not sure how he keeps that growth the way he does, but he practices really well, and he'll do a good job too. So we'll, hopefully we won't lose anybody else, but we don't see it altering who we are, how we play.